Seems Mother Nature has decided to give us some cold weather. It is in the high 40s, low 50s today. We got Jeannie here. We've also got the 72. We're gonna get started on this truck today. We've got, like I said before, transpan is leaking. We've got some idle issues and got some dead holes. And so we're gonna figure that out too. We're actually gonna start with that. I think a lot of that has to do with spark plugs. It was running way rich. And so we're gonna kind of start with that first. We're gonna get up here in the engine bay, pull the plugs, see what we're looking at. I've got another set just in case we need to swap them out. I have learned from the orange dually that you'd be surprised what a set of plugs will do to these things. And so we're gonna throw those in there, see if we can get it running back good again. And then we're gonna get it up in the air, get fluid out of the trans. We've got our transpan gasket back there. And so hopefully this is all kind of a pretty quick in and out done, and we'll get rolling on the next one. I do have a new steering column and stuff for the 66, new steering column, new steering wheel. And so we've got some parts that we're gonna set in the bed of that truck for that, but we're just gonna kind of get rolling here. We've got some really good momentum this week, and so let's see if we can keep that going. All right, so we got the plugs out of the truck, and as you can see, they're pretty trashed. A couple of them got some gas on them. We got the 1, 3, 5, and 7, and then 2, 4, 6, and 8, and they're all pretty bad. This will make a truck run like crap. So we've got some fresh plugs. We're gonna throw them in it, turn the key, see what it does.
Hear that? Fresh spark plugs. I have not been able to get this truck to idle at all. The last 2 times I've tried to move it. Now, it's running right. This was our problem. Now I gotta get the IAC and everything put back how it's supposed to be so the truck will idle correctly and run. Then we can move on to the transmission. All right, our IAC is exactly where we want it to be. Running beautifully now. Amazing what a set of spark plugs will do for these things. But now that we've got this all situated, we can get it kind of lined up for the lift, get her up in the air, and let's see what this transpan.
So y'all are gonna find this about as funny as I do, that accidentally on purpose, I ordered the wrong correct transpan gaskets. I actually originally had those 2 over there. One was the 350, one was the Turbo 400, I thought, for the 66. And I thought this truck had a Turbo 400 as well. Turns out it had a 700R. But the parts store got me Turbo 350 and 700R gaskets. So they accidentally got me the wrong part. That turns out, pretty sure that truck is a Turbo 400, so I still do kind of have the wrong gaskets that I ordered. But accidentally on purpose, we have the correct pan gasket for this truck. So I had a little bit of a existential crisis whenever I climbed under there and saw what trans was in this truck. And it turns out to be okay. I've got the right gasket. So we're gonna go ahead and drop the fluid out of this thing and start prepping this gasket here to go on the pan. I just had to grab this and share because I think this is probably the cleanest transpan removal I have ever done. 99.9% of the fluid got caught in the container that I was trying to catch it in. So now we're just gonna let it drip for a minute, because as soon as I pull that pan off, all the stuff that is in there currently dripping, you can see it on there, the filter and all that, is gonna drip everywhere. So I want it to drip out really good. That way we can climb under there and start working without getting covered in the little drips of ATF. But wow, I'm impressed with myself. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Got some more updates here. So we got the pan off, got all the gas material on it, everything off of it. Had a pretty nasty bend here and a little right here. So I got it kind of flattened out as much as possible. We climbed up under the truck and we got the transmission mating surface all cleaned up. Got all the gasket material and stuff off of that. So we're gonna run and go get some lunch, and I'm probably gonna need a little bit more RTV. I'm gonna take some and I'm gonna put it here on the pan's mating surface. all around. Then we'll put our gasket down, and then we'll put all this back in the truck. But yeah, the pan actually looks pretty good. There wasn't really much of any material in the pan. It's just the gasket wasn't sealing very well. I think it had a little bit to do with this bend here. And I got it kind of flattened out, and then I laid it on the concrete because I know this concrete's really nice and flat, and made sure we didn't have any more outstanding spots. And you can see it's all pretty good and flattened out. So we're gonna go get some food, get some RTV, and then we'll get this back in the truck. All right, so after a little bit of tuning, we let the truck sit here idle and heat cycle. Got a little bit of the tuning dialed in, and the truck is running beautifully again. As you can see, there's no new leaks back there from the trans pan. He also asked me to look at an oil leak. It was having a small drip, and as you can see that right there, he thought it was coming from the back, and it's actually coming from the front. Looks like around where the timing cover meets the oil pan and all that. Very small leak. The other thing that we were going to address is the tie rods. Whenever we did the brakes in this, these tie rods were a little on the rough side, so I tried to just replace the boots, and that didn't really work out like I wanted it to. Not only that, the inner on this side, the boot's all ripped up and torn and just trash. Same with this one here. You can see the boot's torn. And so we're going to replace the inner and outers, but as per usual, they have the outers, they don't have the inners. And so we're going to have to order that. They'll be here tomorrow. But this is actually kind of good. That way I can let this sit a little bit. I want it to sit here so I can see any new leaks and figure out exactly where they're coming from. But I crawled under there and checked the oil pan, and it looks dry. Not a single drop anywhere. So I think we got that fixed. And then this is going to be a little bit more intense than I think. I'm not going to just kind of rip into this and figure out. I'm going to talk to him and see what he wants to do with that. It is a very minor drip. I mean, there's 2 little drops there. But yeah, the inner and outer tie rods are something that we definitely need to address before it goes home. And we should have replaced them when we did the brakes, but I was trying to save them a little bit of money, as usual. And it bit me. So we'll get that addressed, and then this truck will get cleaned and go home. All right, so we're back at work here out at the shop. And there's a couple different things I want to do. So I have not been up here at all this week. And so we're going to walk in and see just how well this old truck sealed that transmission pan. This should tell me if we've got any kind of leaks or any kind of seeping or anything like that. I'm trying to do this one-handed while I open the shop. And I've also got a cool little part that I ordered for the big block for Jeannie. And a lot of the issues with putting big blocks in small block trucks is the motor mounts. You're using small block motor mounts and finding, sorry, I know it's a little loud, finding big block perches for these square bodies these days is a little difficult. And so I did find something kind of cool. I'll go ahead and grab it out of the truck and show you here. So I got it from Speedway Motors, and it raises the engine mounts up. I believe it's ½ inch. If I can get it out, yes, I can show you. And so they're these, and you've got, it's going to sit on the motor, I believe on the perches. It should sit like that, and it raises your engine mount about ½ inch, and so it'll make everything sit. It just helps with header clearance and stuff like that. But we'll go ahead and, I know this is kind of drawing on here. Also, we're going to talk about the videos and stuff like that. Earlier this week I made a post
talking about how y'all liked either the short form, over a minute, under 3 minutes, versus everything all at once. And surprisingly, everybody said that, well, not everybody, but the majority liked the short ones here and there. So let's check this out, because this is actually really good.
There is nothing. She is dry, which means there is no more trans leak. I did wipe up the 2 little spots there. You can still see the 2 little spots from the oil leak. That is one of the things that we are going to be addressing today, as well as our inner and outer tie rods. And hopefully by the end of the day today, this truck will be ready for a bath and then ready to go home. I do want to put it on the ground, and we're going to cold start it and see just how well the tuning and everything worked out. Since it's been sitting up here for a week, it's not cold today, but it is chilly. So let's take a look. I'm trying to record all this stuff in long form because I'm gonna kind of switch it up. I'm gonna do probably one long video to start the week, and then we'll break up the little stuff here and there, just to kind of give a little bit of mixture of both. Let's see, we've got our power on. Gotta bring the truck up off the locks so we can drop it down the ground and start it, because I don't, with this 2-post lift, I haven't really had any issues, but I don't like starting, especially something like this where this motor rocks this truck big time. And so it's just easier to have it on the ground. So we'll drop it down until we have at least all 4 tires on the ground. Okay, and I'm doing all this with no cuts, no nothing, so we're all gonna see if this is a big giant fail or if we've got something going here.
Best at no throttle input. I want to see the truck and the sniper do what it's supposed to do. Not bad. That is a really good sign, because you used to have to nurse this thing to keep it running, because if you just started it, it would start and then it would slowly peter off. And so with no throttle input whatsoever, she's idling. It's idling a little high, but it's high idle for it being cold. That is outstanding. Exactly what I was hoping for. We're going to let it sit here and idle for a minute, let it heat up, and then we'll check again. I do want to find out exactly where that oil leak is coming from. That way we can address that, because that is one of the things that we're going to address today as well. So I'll be back in a little bit with some updates. Oh, Jeannie finally got put to sleep because Ford put me in a loaner vehicle. I should have my truck back this coming week. But they put me in a 2025 XLT, had 60 miles on it when I got it. And nice truck, don't get me wrong, but I'm not an XLT guy. I like my amenities.
So after we let the truck sit and idle for a little bit, just curious to see if there would be any kind of leaks or anything like that. Our pan is dry, the trans pan, and I'm not really seeing a lot of fluid leaking or build up here. And again, this truck sat for a full week here with nothing on the ground. And so to address this, which doesn't seem like it's that severe, it's probably going to require pulling the engine out, because this is a deep Moroso pan, and to address up here to reseal our timing cover in the front of the oil pan, you've got to take all this stuff apart. So we got to blow the front of the motor apart. Then you have to drop the oil pan, and doing that, you're going to have to replace the oil pan gaskets and all that. And this is not, let's see if I can get it up in there. There's not really a lot of room to get down. And this big old giant Moroso pan is not as maneuverable in here as it is as the stock pans are. And so really what I thought was, it's not going to be that bad, because I've done an oil pan gasket on a motor in the truck before. It's not really doable in the truck with this specific pan. And so I don't think this is going to be one of those things that needs to be tackled. It's not really a serious drip either. If it was when the truck is running, yeah, it's leaking. Yeah, probably. But the truck ran, didn't leak a drop. And it's been sitting, and it's not seeping. So I don't think that's going to be something that needs to be addressed. I think the main one was the trans pan itself, and that has been fixed. But we're going to go ahead and get on these inner and outer tie rods. I'm going to do my best to get everything set exactly like it is in the truck now, to save it from having to have a front end alignment. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these inner and outer tie rods out. We're going to lay them down on a piece of cardboard and mark our lengths. That way we can get the new stuff as close as we possibly can to what these were set to. Then we'll get it down the truck. Driving it will tell us a lot whether if it's got any kind of pull in any direction, whether it's going to need to go get just completely dialed in. But typically this is the way that if I'm dealing with the truck, and I've done this on mine a ton, where I'll get them, I'll mark them and get them close, and then put it down on the truck and drive it. And 9 times out of 10, it works out where it's close enough to where it doesn't mess with our alignment at all, and don't have to deal with anything. But we'll see once we get these out, get the new ones measured, get them put together and in the truck. I also have a slight correction for last week whenever I was talking about transpan gaskets and the ones that I had in stock. I was incorrect. I do have a Turbo 400 pan. So they gave me a Turbo 400 gasket and a 700R gasket. So again, still got one of the ones correct. So I did have the wrong part that did end up being the correct part.
All right, so we've got everything up here on the bench, and we've got our inner and our outer. And this outer, the shaft here, is way too small for our spindle here. So I don't know if, I've got to look into it to see if maybe the spindles that come with the Willwood brakes takes a different outer. You would think, since this is a bolt-in kit for this truck, that wouldn't be the case, but now we're going to have to kind of do a little bit of digging here, because this setup is not going to work. That must be why it tore this up, is because whenever I put it all back together, it was snug, and the outers that I took off that are over there on the table, the shaft is way thicker and it fits in here pretty well. There's no real kind of side-to-side movement, but that new one that I just pulled out of the box absolutely will not work. All right, so I got it figured out. Quick search on Willwood's page. The outer tie rods, if you use these Pro spindles, because remember, we're using, this is a full Willwood kit, their Pro spindle and all that, their brake kit. The outers have to be 73 to 87 square body outer tie rod ends. And so we're gonna make a phone call real quick and get those. Fingers crossed, I need everything that they've got some outer tie rods for 73 to 87. Because if they don't, the only thing in this shop that's 73 to 87 that has factory tie rods, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Got another update. They'll be here at 2:45, but I mean, that sucks because we got a few hours, but at least they'll be here today. So we're gonna go ahead and get this other side pulled off and get everything prepped and ready to assemble. Dealing with some stuff up here while we're waiting on the tie rod stuff. So we were having a little bit of binding here.
and what was happening is it was hanging the throttle open, and a lot of that is just these, for some reason, the Sniper 1, the throttle return springs are not really that strong. I've always had to put a secondary return spring on, and so that gets rid of it hanging it open. It pulls it closed. The other thing we had to do is, so the TV cable for the 700R4 was backwards in this truck, and so you want a straight pull. As you can see now, it is about as straight as you're gonna get to that little piece back there, but it was this way. So this side was over here, and so it was basically making it pull it at an angle, and that was also keeping us from being able to put the spring in. So we got that flipped around to the direction that it's supposed to be in, straighten that path for the TV cable a little bit more, and we got a throttle return spring in there, so now this thing won't get hung open. And the fix for it was to pat the gas pedal and it would snap shut. But now we don't have to do that.
I have some notes. First off, we're off the lift. Test drive, as far as the mechanical side of the front suspension, flawless. Track straight, no more kind of movement in the steering wheel that doesn't correlate to the front end movement. Everything's nice and tight. Rez, you left me on basically fumes. I didn't know that, and the drive to the gas station, which luckily is right there, was fairly interesting. We did make it, barely. Put about half a tank of 93 in it and started driving it, and it is like 890 on the AFR. It is dead rich, and it's not happy at all. Now, when you get into it, it clears up, and it's 12.2, somewhere around there, and so it clears out. But the just cruising speed, and now given this could be because it's a fresh tune, it could just need to be driven. But I've never had one straight out of the box on its like initial tune run that dead rich, that hard. And so got to look at a few things. I got to look at fuel pressure and see what we're looking at there. And there is a hard spot in the pedal, right? Like when you first tip into it, it's easy, and it hits like a hard spot, and it's very, very irritating. It is not a nice smooth action. So we got to dig further into that and see why it's doing that. Other than that, it is flawless and beautiful. Oh man, it sounds good. But we're going to, I don't know what time it is, but we're going to dig into fuel pressure real quick. I'm going to make sure that we don't have a fuel issue. I think I did see a fuel gauge back there on the back, a fuel pressure gauge on the return on the Sniper. I do know that these Snipers are notorious for the pressure regulator going bad. I've had it in a couple of them, and that will cause that major rich cycle. So we've got some stuff to figure out. Other than that, it's off the lift, it drives, and we will continue to. Well, you're not following me. This camera thing that follows you, don't buy it. It's junk. It was great for like the first 2 times I used it, and now it is constantly not following me. It just stops. But yeah, rant over. I'm gonna keep digging into this thing. We got to figure out that hard spot in the throttle linkage and fuel pressure, or why it's running rich. But it's a good day.
Throttle linkage has been figured out. On the Sniper 1 units, I always get a progressive linkage from EFI System Pro. And what this linkage does is it takes the 1-to-1 linkage that comes from stock. So when I say 1-to-1, I mean when you touch the throttle, it opens primary and secondary at the exact same time. And that can make these things feel like it's, when you're trying to take off or stuff like that and you're just kind of cruising it, it makes it feel like the truck is just all or nothing. It's like a light switch. This linkage changes that, and it goes in line, and it makes to where when you open the primaries, you notice It's not moving, that secondary, not moving until about here. And then, so it acts more like a carburetor at about 45% throttle. Then it starts messing with the rear primaries. When I put that on this one, for some reason, this linkage had like some raised spots and it wasn't really made that well. I'm a little irritated with it, but nothing that a grind off or a cut off wheel won't kind of fix. And now it functions smoothly. It's not hanging up anymore. The second thing, fuel pressure. So this is a 0 to 15 PSI fuel pressure gauge. And as you can see, the truck is off and it still says that we're making about 9 PSI. It doesn't change from the truck running or not. So we're gonna replace this because I need to know what my fuel pressure is. That way it'll tell me if we've got an issue here or not. Remember, Sniper 1s are self-regulated and they had a ton of problems with those regulators. That's why the Sniper 2 got rid of that and you have to have an external regulator. So if there is something wrong with this one, I have a Sniper 1 head unit here. I can grab the regulator out of that one and put it in this and see if that fixes it. Or we will probably have to put an external fuel pressure regulator on here just so the Sniper is happy. That being said, other than that issue now, the truck is perfect. It runs great. It sounds good. It steers. Everything up here is as it should be. I did move the truck forward, so now we'll see if it has any extra leaks or anything like that, but we are good to roll. Today has been a very, very good day, even though it wasn't perfect with having to order parts and stuff. We still stayed a little bit later today and got it all squared away. All right, so we're up here at the shop on a Wednesday because I got my fuel pressure gauge in, and we figured out that the gauge was on the wrong side. It was on the return side. It needs to be on the feed line. But as you can see here, we got it on there. And when the truck is running, this is supposed to have the Sniper likes between 55 and 65 PSI. And it's internally regulated to keep that. We are currently sitting right now idle at 76 PSI. So we have an internal regulator failure. I'm gonna I've got one in the box back there that was off of my old Sniper unit. And we've never run anything through that regulator. That system was deadheaded with Holley's in-tank fuel pump, which is self-regulated. So it's never had anything run through it. So technically it still should be in brand new shape. So we're gonna pull the regulator off of that one. We're gonna slap it on this one and see if that changes anything. All right, we got some more fuel updates. So the regulator that was in that Sniper, I don't know if y'all can see that or if it's gonna focus, but it's full of trash and junk. And so it wasn't regulating anything. Barely getting any fuel flow past this. And so it was spiking at 76 PSI. And that's why it was running dead rich. So I grabbed my regulator out of my Sniper unit back there, which my screen and everything, it's never had fuel run through it. And so it looked brand new. Put it in the truck and it's making like 36 PSI. The Sniper 2, the reason, I'm very, very certain the reason that they didn't continue with the internal regulation for fuel pressure is because they had so many problems with these. And I never really experienced a lot of those issues because I always ran Holley's in-tank fuel system that was self-regulated, and so I never ran a return line off the Sniper. It was always deadhead right into it. So I think there's two options here. We can order a new regulator from Holley for about 30 bucks, put it in it and go from there, or we can bite the bullet and do this the correct way and put an external regulator on it. That way we can get it dialed exactly where we want it, between 55 and 65, and just be done with this. We'll cap off the return off of the Sniper because the regulator will handle the return. All the lines and everything are run, so it's not really that difficult. We'll have to make one fuel line coming from the regulator to the Sniper head unit itself, but all the hard work and everything is pretty much done. That's what I think we need to do. We're just gonna kind of go from there. This is the only thing that's kind of holding this truck up now, this and a bath. But I am glad that I know exactly what's going on. It's a pretty simple thing. We're just gonna make it happen. Today is the last day with the 72. Last day we'll be working on it. I've got some parts here. We're gonna go over what we got, and then we're gonna get it installed. We went with the Aeromotive compact fuel pressure regulator. We got that. We got our fittings from Aeromotive that go in that regulator. We've got some EFI rated fuel hose and some Dash 6 fittings to go from the regulator to the back of the Sniper. So we're going to be getting rid of the Sniper's return system and changing that over to a external regulator. That way we have full control over the pressure. And then we're going to get the truck. I got to find a good place to mount this regulator that's nice and clean, but not in the way of anything. Get it all plumbed in. It should be pretty easy. We'll be able to reuse the factory feed and return line, not the factory, but the one that was already in the truck. And then we will have to make the new line, the feed line going from the regulator here to the Sniper itself, and then we will block off the return side on the back of the Sniper. But I chose this regulator because it's fairly small. It is a boost reference one. I couldn't find any that didn't have that fitting. I'm hoping that I'll be able to take this block off here that's where the gauge goes and put that where the boost reference is, because obviously this truck doesn't need a boost reference to bump fuel pressure. But we're gonna go ahead and get this all kind of pieced together, put it in the truck. We'll test it, make sure that everything is gonna work before we hard mount anything. I want to kind of get this all plugged in, put it in there and just mock it up to make sure that it's gonna do all the things that we need it to do, make sure I can put it around here, around the compound, and make sure that this is gonna solve our problem. I'm pretty sure it will.
All right, so none of this is the final product. This is just kind of fit in there so we can set the fuel pressure on the regulator and make sure that this is going to fix our problem. But I'm going to show you where we're at. Right at about 58, 59 PSI. That should be, it's between that threshold of 55 and 65 PSI, so that should be a pretty good happy place. If we're still kind of popping a little rich or a little lean, we can bump it up or down a little bit, so that gives us a little bit of room to kind of fine tune it. But I'm gonna let the truck warm up, and then we're gonna go put it around the compound here and see how it reacts.
These cup holders make for a perfect spot for this thing to sit. So we are, I mean, right around 10.5. But before, whenever I had the factory regulator in this thing, it was 8.9. When I put the Sniper regulator out of my old Sniper unit, it was 17.20, in that range. And right now we are, I mean, spot on perfect. It's 12.5, 11.5, between there. But it's not spitting, not sputtering, or lean popping, and it's also not like just dead rich. It is perfect. I'm not really, since this is a dirt road, I'm not able to like really kind of lay into it and get where we want. But that's the exact result I was looking for. And so now we're gonna have to come up with some kind of fancy mount for that regulator, and we're gonna move some stuff around to make it look good. I just wanted to make sure that was gonna fix our problem, and it absolutely did. Perfect. Update number 2 for the regulator. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm actually kind of proud of this. I found an old metal bracket that I had. I don't know what the hell it was from or anything like that, but let me show you what I did. All right, so we're using this bolt here, and I it was like a square bracket that had a little kick on it, so I cut it flush here, and then I kind of measured where it would lock itself on the factory air box, and it is nice and tight. So we'll be able to put the regulator about here. I mean, we could put it up on this slider and move it. I need to check and see what kind of interference we have with our air cleaner here, but I kind of like that. I do want to pull it off and clean it up and spray it black so it kind of blends in, but I'm pretty proud of myself on that one. That one actually looks really good, and the fact that it ties in with a factory bolt and it's already through the it's already in the firewall, so I don't have to didn't have to drill any other holes in the truck. I like that a lot. Nice little technique of using a turbo can, and that actually came out pretty decent. I heated up the metal with a MAP gas torch, and it's like 50 something degrees here. And then sprayed it on here and let it sit, and then lit it on fire. And yeah, I think that actually came out pretty decent. Once it dries, we will put it back in the truck and mark our holes to put our hardware through to mount the regulator, and then we'll be done. The truck will be ready to put back together and go home, finally. Here is the final mock-up of that. We got that in there. Like I said, we're right about 58, 59 PSI. It doesn't interfere with the air cleaner, nor does it mess with the hood. I like that a lot. I think it came out great. All right, so the test drive was perfect. It drove like a dream. We got it here at the house. We're gonna get it cleaned up. We got to clean inside, clean the outside, get it all nice and sparkly. And then we will hitch a ride back to the shop to go get the truck and trailer, and we'll go get this thing dropped off. She is officially done. I am very happy how that came out. It came out great. You can see clearly just how much fuel pressure it has. I did back it down back to about 55, just because it's a little rich on first throttle input, but then it levels out. Truck runs phenomenally. So we're going to get all this. You can see we're dusty in here, so we're going to get everything under here wiped down and cleaned up, and then we will clean up the exterior of the truck inside and be done. On to the 66. We've got to get the steering column and stuff put back in that truck, and then I think it's nearing its time being done with us. All right, so we've hit the end of our day. The 72 has been delivered. It is home. I am going to be going to pick up the next kind of big build in about a week and a half, somewhere around there. And so we're not going to completely put the trailer up, but next week we are going to get back on this. We've got our new steering wheel, new steering column. We need to address the transpan oil leak. I need to order the vent for the fuel tank and the fuel cap. And then, we got to adjust the shifter cable too, so we can actually put it in park. But I think that is going to be the next step after those, is put it on the street, see what it does. I can tell you that with the fresh plugs, she wants to be a runner so bad. That big block just sounds wicked. Obviously that is open headers because the exhaust is all rusted out. I'll be curious to see what exhaust the owner of this truck goes with. It's gonna need a full one. But yeah, so we're gonna resume back on the 66 next week. See ya.